Hi ladies, Diana here with Orlando Lady Boss, and we are in LA, and I am talking with Dr. Mashhuda Glencross. Welcome to the show. We're doing a video today, so this is a little bit different for us because normally I'm on a podcast, so we're in front of the screen today, but I'm really excited to talk to you. So could you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do? Like, we'll start off there.
My name's Mashhuda Glencross, and I'm from England. I am a computer scientist. I did a PhD in computer graphics, and then I postdoc for a very long time in the area of computer graphics, in VR actually, before VR was fashionable.
Oh, so awesome! So we have someone here looking at VR before it was even mainstream.
Yeah,
that's wonderful.
That's right. And then I when the funding sort of became a little bit tight in the 90s in VR in the UK, I started doing 3D reconstruction from images, and I got quite interested in recovering lighting from images, working out how to relight 3D reconstructions from photos, which was really, really cool work. And then I went on to become academic faculty at a university in England called Loughborough University. I did that for a few years and then decided that I wanted to do something a little bit more independent. So I quit and started to work in a series of startups.
So you changed completely. You went from academia right to startup.
Yeah.
So then that kind of brings me to how have you been able to apply your doctoral research and the work you are currently doing in VR?
So the work that I'm doing with the startup in which is called Ulio, and the company is based in Toronto, has been all about trying to develop new techniques for improving the visual quality of 3D VR experiences. So I've been able to apply a lot of my early research and my later research in relighting 3D scenes as well, 3D reconstruction, to the application, which has been really great fun.
Oh, wonderful. Did you face any challenges to your gender while you were earning your doctorate or teaching or getting published?
So that's a very interesting question.
Yeah.
And certainly when I was doing my PhD, I don't think I faced any gender-related challenges. I had a fantastic PhD supervisor at the University of Manchester. His name's Alan Mercer. He now works for a games company doing Lego games.
Oh yeah, that's really cool. Yeah.
It's like,
my husband would love that. So the podcast people hear about my husband. He's a big Lego nerd, so he would love that.
He was a super PhD supervisor, very, very supportive always of me. And then I went on to in my professional career, starting out as a postdoc, and I don't really think I faced that many gender challenges initially as a postdoc. It's as I became more experienced and wanted more career progression, that's where I started to find the blockers. It was like a little bit like I got to a kind of glass ceiling.
Yeah.
And at that point, people tended to think that, either my work wasn't my own, it was due to male colleagues that were providing input to my work, or they tended to think things like I couldn't lead because I was maybe not as aggressive as a male colleague might be, and things like that. So those sorts of barriers started to hurt.
So it's not it's not really at the beginning at the student level where you're feeling those things. The competition, it's the playing field feels even there.
Yeah.
It's as you're starting to try to advance your degree
or
your career, not your degree, your career,
Yeah.
that all of a sudden you just start feeling these like little
tiny things.
Things.
It was never anything that was completely overt. It was always very small, subtle barriers put in my place. And you become aware, for example, that a promotion, for example, is made available to a male colleague, and you look at the CV compared with your CV, and there's no kind of
comparison, yeah.
your orders of magnitude better
Yeah.
than the other person,
Uh-huh.
and still,
And you hear something along the lines of like they just had that something, that right
yeah,
undefined quality
undefined
that
quality.
yeah.
They were great leadership material and things like that. And
Yeah.
it tends to be more like you discover slowly but surely. It tends to be more that they happen to have the right connections. They came across really well with the right professor or something
Yeah.
like that, and so they advanced in their career where this time you didn't.
Uh-huh.
And then after a little while of these sorts of setbacks, you start to feel quite, frustrated. So I then went on. I don't think that a lot of the conferences that I publish in and journals that I publish in tend to be blind reviews. So I don't think that I necessarily face any gender effects with publications. I have heard of a lot of people that do feel like they face gender effects with publications, but in their cases, their conferences or journals aren't blind reviews.
Gotcha.
So
So you've benefited from the blind reviews within the types
To
of
some-
publications you're.
to some extent, but there is also a certain interesting side to publishing in the sense that when you're in a field, then your peers also know what your work is and know who's doing what in the community, and so I could believe that there may be some impact from that that makes it harder for people from certain countries, certain genders, it could be any kind of effect that can have an effect on.
And it's hard because you can't
and
always
it's hard-
pinpoint those things.
It's very hard to pinpoint those things and actually come up with a reasoned, rational argument about whether or not that has had an effect.
Which makes it feel like, I think it makes it feel like, is it you or is it outside of you that's the problem? It's always you. You might be questioning yourself, like where is the actual problem lying?
So I think that to some extent, we women tend to question themselves maybe quite a lot in general, right? And I've always questioned myself quite a lot. But I have been lucky, and I have had the benefit of being able to work on really cool projects and really exciting work. It has been really it's been a passion.
Awesome.
For me.
So the
I've
work
enjoyed-
the
I've
work really drives you.
The work really drives me, and I'm finding now, in particular, where I want more senior roles, that's where, again, the glass ceiling tends to hit, because
It's always when you want the promotion. Once you're there, it's easy to be there.
And I certainly found when I was teaching as well, even though I was really, I wasn't a brilliant teacher, but I wasn't a bad teacher, right? There were a lot of male colleagues at my university that was significantly worse than me, but they got much more positive student feedback because the students were predominantly male.
Gotcha.
And they tended to be a lot more critical of me than of an older male lecturer that they felt a little bit more intimidated by.
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
So I do think there are effects that do impact on you in various ways.
Yeah.
But they're also very subtle. So it's very, very hard to point to something and say that's tangible.
Yeah. So let's move on to SIGGRAPH, which is the conference that we're at right now.
Yeah.
But SIGGRAPH also has chapters all over the world, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
And so you founded a chapter of SIGGRAPH. So what was your greatest challenges in starting that chapter?
Yeah.
And what have been your greatest achievements within that chapter?
Yeah. So we founded, myself and a friend of mine founded the Manchester professional ACM SIGGRAPH chapter. And the really, really cool thing about that was that we knew a number of people that we had met at the SIGGRAPH conference just through networking. The SIGGRAPH provides a phenomenal opportunity to meet really, really cool people doing really exciting work, right? And so we were well positioned to be able to ask some of these people to come and give talks. And so actually establishing and running the chapter was really easy for us, and we had a lot of support from Manchester University at the time.
Wonderful.
From our department, our faculty and everything. So we were lucky in that we had a lot of support in terms of resources, a room for running events, and a modest budget for running events and everything. So we never really faced any serious challenges in terms of the kinds of events we wanted to organise. The sorts of events we tended to organise were really talks, and I think some of our greatest achievements were having, really cool speakers that were Academy Award winners and very well-known people in the community come and talk to our local community about their work and their research and their involvement in various movies and things, which was really, really super exciting for everybody that.
So you're able just to bring something to your community that you didn't even have there before. So
exactly, and also speakers that our local community wouldn't have the benefit of being able to go and hear at SIGGRAPH because it's an expensive conference for people to come to. So only a small number of people from our chapter came to the conference, right?
But you were able to use your access and your connections to bring that back and help other people.
It was for us, the chapter was all about bringing a little bit of the SIGGRAPH magic back to the local community, right? And helping people in the local community network in a way in which they would network at the SIGGRAPH conference. Having access to some of the content that people would see at the SIGGRAPH conference, like speakers, talks, and things like that, that they couldn't come to the conference and see. And that's the beauty of the SIGGRAPH organisation. It's a global organisation, and it does allow people all over the world to have a little bit of an experience of the conference, even if it's massively cut down. But it does allow people to learn a little bit more about the subject, be inspired, and hopefully encourage them to get more involved.
I think when you make people that feel inaccessible accessible to people, it helps them think about what path that they can get on to get maybe into those places that they want to be.
But it also inspires people when you hear about some really cool work somebody's done, then you, or even hear some insights from some incredibly talented people that can inspire you to help you find a direction for your passion and your research.
Exactly. So when you talk about your passion and what you've been doing, what is one of your proudest achievements and why?
That's a very difficult question because I'm actually proud of quite a lot of the work that I've done with colleagues of mine. A lot of my work has been very collaborative, working with some really amazingly talented people. And I've been very proud of the way I've been able to draw together the talents of very diverse teams to produce some really amazing, good quality research that we've been able to publish in top journals like Transactions on Graphics and IEEE TVCG and things like that. So that, my proudest achievement is really advancing the field in some small way.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, that's great. And I think, and you said something, bringing the right people together to find that. I think that's so important because, that's the goal, right? You got to find the right people that can do the work that can advance you guys are pushing these boundaries.
Exactly. We're at a point in the field where, to push the boundaries does require a diverse team with a range of skills. It's not just one person who can't just solve, all of the challenges in our
You're not going to see people like Thomas Edison anymore, or, Einstein, who are just these pillars of I know there's some, Apple and SpaceX and, Elon Musk. Those types of people are those, tech geniuses that are the one, but that's not really the reality of how most people are pushing forward innovation. It's
Agreed.
groups of people that are.
Agreed. And if you look at examples like SpaceX and Elon Musk, I mean, Elon Musk is incredibly talented at bringing together the right people
Yeah,
as well. He
exactly.
he doesn't innovate
He's
entirely
not, yeah,
by himself,
exactly.
right? Innovation in our modern age requires collaboration, it requires teams, it requires people with lots of different perspectives to add to, you know, the overall kind of,
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. So, if you had to go back if you had to go back and talk to your 16-year-old self and give her some advice, what would you tell her then?
I would probably just advise her to go with her passion, because that has not really disappointed me. I mean, my mother wanted me to do law, but I went with my passion to do science. And sometimes I think, well, maybe I would have made more money if I'd done law, right? But at the end of the day, I love the work that I do, right? And it does give me a heck of a lot of satisfaction.
Yeah.
And so, you know, ultimately everything in life is a trade-off, right? And there may be some trade-offs that I've had to face through being a woman in the tech sector, but I have enjoyed the work that I've done, and I enjoy pushing the boundary. I enjoy working with cool people.
So do you think that it's maybe a part of it, telling that 16-year-old self, think about the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Like, what does it look like every day? What does your life look like every day?
Exactly.
What do you want to do? Where do you want to be spending your time and energy on?
Exactly.
And you know, and thinking about that and not getting scared away from the obstacles that might be standing around it.
Yeah, that's right. Well, Randy Pausch always used to say, didn't he, that the obstacles are there just to stop the other people who don't want it bad enough, right?
That is true.
So,
That is very true.
If you want something, then okay. If there are obstacles, you have to be creative to find a way around them.
So you're from England, and we're obviously here in America. And what does VR look like in other countries? Is it different from North America? Is Europe doing something a little different with VR? Does it look similar?
So, I mean, VR has a very long history, right? And people tend to kind of forget that. And I think, you know, worldwide, lots of people have worked in VR since really the 60s, right? So VR does look very similar everywhere, and you know, the same technology is available everywhere, right? So I think the challenge for researchers is to actually look at the global picture and look at what people are doing worldwide, because we tend to get a little bit you know, biased in terms of looking at what our local community is doing, or the people we know or have heard of are doing. But research is much broader than that. And so, you know, people do exciting things worldwide.
And I think it comes back to the whole, who are the best people that are coming up with the best solutions to the problem? And then adapting whatever those solutions are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, in the US, I would say probably like VR startups and things are probably much better funded than they are in Europe. But, you know, we also do pretty cool and exciting work in various labs and, you know, various like, you know, university research teams and things like that.
So, is it hard to find talented females who are interested in VR? Find and hire them? Are there... I mean, obviously you are.
I think there are a lot of talented women in our discipline. So when companies say it's hard to find and hire talented women, I think they're being a little bit disingenuous, because they're just not looking
hard enough.
Yeah, exactly. I think that many people, myself included, are unwilling to make certain compromises. So I live in Oxford in England, I don't want to move to Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
Right? But if there's a fantastic opportunity that's very suitable for my skills and a company is willing to hire me and have me, allow me to live and work where I live, then, you know, I would be very keen to explore those opportunities.
Yeah.
And I've been lucky because ULIO has given me that opportunity to live and work where I choose to live and work. And there really should be fewer barriers to people being allowed to live and work wherever they want to.
I totally agree, especially in a tech industry where
we have the technology, we can do this.
Exactly,
Yeah.
you have the technology and you can do that. But you know, you touched on something earlier where you're saying those barriers seemed harder every time you want to move up, right?
Yeah.
So then when you're making it harder for women to move up the ladder, when you get to those higher positions and you go, there's nobody here that we can hire, there's no women at this level or whatever, it's because you haven't been helping move them up over time to advance them to the point to get to those places.
Exactly, that's right. So when you get people giving you feedback like you don't have enough experience in such and such, it's because you haven't given us the opportunity to gain that experience.
Yeah.
So you haven't even contemplated whether or not this person might be able to pick this up really fast.
Yeah.
You've just looked at a list of selection criteria and found that there's a box this person doesn't tick.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But if you want a diverse team, you have to be prepared to look around the box ticking.
Yeah, and you have to be willing to give someone a chance, even if it's funny because I always say they hire men based on potential, and they hire women based on skill and experience, and you already have to like be better for the job that you're going into.
That's very true.
Yeah, it's how do you know, and I don't know the answer, and you might not know the answer, but it's how do you get past that point, right?
Yeah.
And convince them.
It's a difficult problem, and the only way in which I think we can get past that is if people in influential roles take diversity seriously and start giving, you know, women who are suitably skilled a little bit of opportunity so that women can get into the higher level ranked positions.
Yeah.
And then, you know, hopefully the problem will rectify
by itself over time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
So if you weren't in your current industry, what would you have selected as a career and why? I hear we've talked about law.
I sometimes fantasize about that when I'm like going, oh my God, this is not going the way I wanted to go.
Look, in anybody's career, even when you love it.
Yeah, even when you love it.
There's days when you don't like it.
Exactly. And I've fantasized about that for sure. And, you know, I've thought about all sorts of things, you know. Medical doctor, dentist.
But definitely sounds science. It's just some type of science. What exactly discipline would you go into?
Yeah, I think I was interested in science from a very, very early age.
Yeah.
So for me, I can't contemplate a career outside of science. Yeah.
Well, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So what is the future of VR look like? Or get a little snippet, you know.
The future of VR. Again, that's a very difficult question. What does the future of VR look like? A lot of people will say to you that it is probably, you know, augmented reality, VR, AR, right? I think that, you know, going back to Ivan Sutherland's original, you know, vision, the future of VR will be delivered when VR isn't perceived as a technology. So when there isn't the barrier to the technology and it disappears. So at the moment, when you walk around with your phone, you don't see your phone as a separate piece of technology.
No, you're right.
And when you
it's
don't
just a tool.
see, and when you don't see your VR kit as a separate piece of technology is when the future will have arrived.
Yeah, I like that. That I definitely can agree with that, because when it's a necessity to everybody, when everyone has to interact with it, then it's not
Yeah.
a technology anymore. It's just
Yeah.
kind of that this is what it is. It's
Exactly.
a standard. Yeah.
Exactly. And it'll become seamless.
Ah,
Now, there are going to be some pretty serious technical challenges to solve before that can happen.
I'm sure that there
But
are.
that's pretty exciting. And I think it would be fantastic for the community to think about what those technical challenges are going to be.
Well, I think that that's why, we have these great minds here at SIGGRAPH right now coming together and networking and hopefully coming up with some of the future projects that are,
Yeah.
going to be happening in that space.
Absolutely.
So my last question to you is, with SIGGRAPH being a leading convention within this industry, what features do you think attract female talent to these conventions? I mean, I've seen a lot of student volunteers around here, and I pay attention to these things, and I notice there's a lot of females out there, a lot of young female students
Yeah.
wandering around, so it's
Yeah.
nice to see that. So
It is nice to see that, and over the years there have been more and more female attendees that I've noticed
Yeah.
coming to the conference, which is great to see. What attracts females to SIGGRAPH? I think that's a very difficult question as well, but for me, I can say for me, it's been the visual elements, because I've been really crap at drawing. I've been crap at art, right? And my talent has always been science, right? So for me, if I want to create a nice picture, a beautiful art form of art, I have to get a computer to do it for me. So if I can invent an algorithm that does it, that makes it easier for me.
That's a scientist talking right now.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I think the answer is there isn't one thing that attracts women, because we're all different, and
We're all
there's
different.
things
Yeah,
that is
that's
attracting
right.
in us.
That's right. And in a sense, it's kind of a little bit, if you say, there's one particular thing that attracts women versus men, then that's a little bit gender biased, right? But as you say, we're all different, and different things appeal to all of us. But I love SIGGRAPH. It's a fantastic conference. It's a great opportunity to meet people, and it's a great opportunity to see an awful lot of innovation that can inspire you.
Yeah, and that's for everyone.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Dr. Glencross.
Thank you very much.
I had a wonderful conversation with you.
It was a pleasure.
And
Thank you.
thank you guys for watching, and we will catch you next time. Bye.
Bye.